Thank you. Welcome to the Conservation Commission meeting of September 4th, 2024. The Wareham Conservation Commission will hold a meeting under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Town of Wareham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Division 6, and any other applicable laws. All hearings of the Wareham Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Town of Wareham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Division 6. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. All matters listed may involve a discussion and possible vote. May I have a roll call, please?
Jessica Parr.
Scott Sobey.
Paula Jean O'Neill.
Autumn Wood.
Sandy Slavin.
Michael Mercier.
Denise Schultz.
Joseph Still.
And Joshua Faraday.
And just to confirm, Denise, you've been sworn in?
Yes,
You're
I'm
now
sworn
a
in this
voting
afternoon.
member. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. So I believe we have a quorum and we can open our hearings, please. Autumn, the first one. Did I miss something?
You swear in, Josh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
With the swear, Josh, yeah.
Will you please stand and put your right arm up? I swear to tell the truth and nothing but truth in all the hearings in front of me. Thank you. Okay, officially done. Okay, next, your turn.
Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held in Room 520, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, on Wednesday, September 4th, 2024, at 6 p.m. On the request for determination of applicability for Tina and Russell Ewell, 21 Bayberry Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, 02571. The applicant proposes constructing a 30-square-foot patio with 30 feet of landscape walls located within a 100-foot buffer to a coastal beach and land subject to coastal storm flowage. Map 28, Lot 47, 21 Bayberry Road, Wareham, Massachusetts. I motion to open the hearing.
I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. We are 600 to open the hearing. Please identify yourself.
Can I say no to that,
What?
to opening the hearing?
You can.
Okay, I'm gonna say no.
I have 510 to open the hearing.
Duly noted. Bill Lockwood, Lockwood Architects, representing Tina and Russell Ewell.
Bill, I'm going to ask you to stand and raise your right hand. I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth on the issue in front of me at 21 Bayberry Road. Thank you. It's a new procedure. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Now town attorney has made a recommendation that we do this.
Wholly in favor of truth-telling.
Okay, you're up.
Okay, so in your packet, which you should have received, be two drawings. There's one the site plan recently built, as built with the patio added to it, and a smaller plan, which is an enlarged plan of what we're doing with the patio. So we're adding about 300 square feet of patio, which replaces some 170 square feet of existing patio and about an equal amount of yard area and landscaped area. It's adjacent, it's on the rear of the property, it's in the flood zone, be using pervious pavers, and look for it, and a couple of walls, so 300 square feet of paving, 30 feet of wall. That's about it.
Questions?
Yes.
No, I'll ask around. Jessica?
Come back to me, please.
Scott?
No questions, thank you.
Paula Jean?
No questions, thank you.
Autumn?
I don't see any plans for erosion controls on this site. Could you please discuss what You are proposing for that?
We'll be happy to put up hay bales or siltation if we need it. It's a pretty flat site, so I don't perceive that we need a lot of it, but.
Okay. Thank you.
Michael?
Let's see. When I was down there today, there didn't seem to be a lot of staked area. Was that, but also at the same time, it wasn't, I was looking out into the yard. So the area that's going to be worked on is mostly closer to the house, is that correct?
It's immediately adjacent to the house, yes.
All right, so how much of it is going to go into the yard?
We're going to extend into the yard about to the end of the existing deck.
All right,
And no further.
all right. Okay, so that's pretty much all I had this time then, thank you.
Denise?
I have a problem with going forward with even discussing this project. Our projects are supposed, and you have to bear with me, I wrote down notes just so I got everything out.
Yep.
Everything is supposed to be staked at least a week in advance. I went out yesterday, and it was not staked at all.
I had heard that, and I apologize.
Apologizing, I mean, you wasted my time. You weren't the only project yesterday that I saw that wasn't staked out. You wasted the time that it took 8 to 10 people to go see this project. We can't make informed decisions on what you're doing on properties if the projects aren't staked out.
Yes, as I
So
said.
the rule has been, if it's not staked, we don't discuss it and we don't vote on it. And as I said, unfortunately, yours wasn't the only one. So if we make an exception for you tonight and go ahead and let you do your project and vote for it, then what do we do with the other projects that come up this evening that weren't staked? We can't set a precedent of saying, okay, it's all right for you, but not all right for them.
Understood. Stakes were up. Stakes.
This morning, not
No,
yesterday.
Not yesterday, but they were up prior. And then they got taken down to mow the lawn. When we found out about your situation, we put them up again. I'm sorry.
No, as far as I'm concerned, we shouldn't even be discussing and voting on this tonight because it wasn't staked, and it's setting a precedent. And as I said, there's other ones going to come up before us tonight that weren't staked also. And if you do it for one, then you've got to do it for everybody. And we have not done it in the past. So I'm leaving it up to you guys, but
Joe?
There's no questions for me.
Jessica?
No questions.
I was there today. It was staked, but it doesn't help the people who went prior to today. My question for you is, that's not level land. Will the patio be level?
The patio will be level, yes.
So you have to bring in how much fill to level it off?
Very little. By the time we've excavated for the walls, we will have had enough fill to level the patio.
May I
Or
ask
very close there, too.
why you plan to have a wall around the patio?
Can ask, because the owner desires to have one, is the short answer.
How tall is that wall?
About 18 inches,
1.5 feet?
yes.
It's on all the side facing the ocean and a portion of the one on the, oh God, east-south, on the south side.
Yes.
What will you do with the stone mulch and cobblestone borders that are being removed?
It'll be removed from the site or incorporated as fill underneath the patio.
Okay. Josh, you have anything to add?
Yeah, the conversation I had with Mr. Yule, it sounds like the patio isn't going to be square. Sounds like maybe there's a rounded edge to it.
The flags were rounded.
I'm sorry, what?
The flags were rounded.
What, the flags that are there,
Yeah,
those will be removed.
no, but if they were to show us where the patio was supposed to go, it was rounded, it didn't show a 90-degree angle.
Okay, I have not seen the stakes recently.
Okay, anything else, Josh?
No. If it is going to be constructed different than the plan, we need a revised plan.
I don't believe that it is.
Yeah, come on up. Identify yourself for the record when you get to the mic.
Russell Ewell, I'm the owner of the house. There are no bends in the wall. Originally thought there would.
Can you sit down, please? Thank you.
There are no bends
No.
in the wall. It's staked off rectangular, right angles, and that's what we're going to have.
Okay, so whoever put the stakes back,
I put it back.
angled, give us a, okay.
They were rectangular. They come to a point. I didn't. There's
No,
circular
well, anyway.
at all there. And if I can say something else, the stone that you mentioned, I'm removing. It's just a small amount of stone that is going to be removed. I'm just going to put in a wheelbarrow and put it over some other stone that we have there.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to comment on this project? Anybody online? Is there anybody online? Okay,
I had one more thing.
yes.
The reason for the wall was because there is a slight, as I'm sure you saw, the land goes down. We have to hold those patio blocks in somehow. So the wall, the biggest reason that I'm putting that small wall there essentially is so we can put the patio blocks up against it and they'll be retained in by the wall.
You need 18 inches to do that.
The 18 inches is so you can sit on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it'd be nice to make it comfortable, yes.
All right. What's the desire?
Well, there's apparently 2 people online, is that correct?
No, there's nobody to comment on this.
I thought she said there were, I'm
Sandy,
sorry.
can I make a comment to Denise's point that, would you accept a motion that we table this till the next meeting so everyone has a chance to see the property staked and can weigh in? I mean, here we're discussing it, but really, we're excluding.
How many people went out and the stakes were not there? Denise, anybody else?
No, I
Who
didn't
went
see
out
anything.
and saw stakes were not there?
I didn't see anything, but
Okay. And who went out and saw stakes?
I did this morning.
I did this morning. And when did you visit?
I went today, but I didn't see anything. But then again, I may not have been looking
At the right, on the right
on the
angle?
right
Okay.
side of the house either.
Well, it is a concern, and we've done it before, asked for a continuance because the project was not staked at time when we went to visit, because we've said that once it has made the paper on the ads, we'd like to have them staked, because once we know the ads, we know the projects, and we can visit within any time within a week of the hearing. So I'll take a motion to continue until September 18th.
So moved?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 600. And please make sure they are the dimensions of the patio.
They're exact.
Well, I saw a curve. Okay,
Okay, we will confirm that. Thank you all.
okay, thank you. Next one, please.
On the request for notice of intent for Glenn Mueller, 530 Spring Street, East Bridgewater, Massachusetts. The notice of intent pertains to work that was carried out without a permit. This work involved partially constructing a block patio, paving the driveway, building retaining walls, and grading the site. Additionally, the applicant plans to build block patio walkways to the east and west sides of the dwelling, a carport, and dry wells to collect roof runoff. Map 78/2, Lot 133.B and 134, 4 Kennedy Street, Wareham, Massachusetts. I motion to open the hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
600. Hearing is open. And who's representing the project?
Good evening, Brad Bertolo, JC Engineering.
Okay, Up you go. I swear to tell the truth and whole truth and nothing but the truth on the issue of 4 Candidate Street. Thank you. All right, talk to us.
Again, Brad Bertola with JC Engineering on behalf of the property owner. We are filing an application at this property and the adjacent property, which will be heard next, in response to an enforcement order that was issued to the property owner, I believe, in roughly February. Pretty sure that most of you probably inspected the site. We had it staked about 2 weeks ago, and let Josh know when we had it done so that he could do his inspection. If you're at the property owner moved some earth around, created some retaining walls in anticipation of a patio. When we got this project, he had a grand scheme of connecting both properties with retaining walls and patio areas, and I told him that we should look at permitting what was currently constructed at this time, which involves constructing a patio and a number of walkways, or a couple walkways on either side, just to have a nice stable surface to walk from the front of the property, the driveway, down the side to gain access to this lower level. The property owner kind of done this work to alleviate a drainage issue on the property. I didn't have any pictures of it ahead of time, but there was a walkout basement area that was below the deck that exited beneath the deck or just outside the footprint of the deck. So there was a small stairwell area that he expanded upon and tried to get the grade to pitch away from the house, which he achieved by removing roughly 3 feet of material adjacent to the house and tapered it out to, meet natural grade that was on the property. We did submit, as part of this application, I believe, one picture that I had that was from the property owner or the prior owner that showed that the entire yard was a grassed area, and at one time had a dock or pier at this property, which was partially removed from a storm, and then property owner removed the rest of it. I think I have the approximate location of the pier on plan based off of aerial maps. So as you can see, that a majority of the work that took place was within a grassed area. This area was also a coastal bank, a portion of it being coastal bank. And you can kind of see on that picture, it was kind of a slope up towards the house from the salt marsh, and then kind of leveled off. And that was about at the elevation of the 100-year flood elevation, elevation 14. The work that took place was within a grassed area, minus, looks like one tree that was removed. The area was leveled. The grassed coastal bank provided minimal protection during a storm surge. But again, it did provide some type of bank to protect the structures and the land above it. Also, as with this project, we're proposing a carport that's located to the north of the structure, just off the driveway. To mitigate for the proposed work, we are offering a couple different options. One, we are proposing to install dry wells to capture the runoff from all the gutters that's on the house, the existing house. We had noted where those are, depicted those on plan, and showed 2 separate dry well systems to capture that roof runoff. We are also adding a dry well system with a cast iron or framing grate to grade that will be created in a small depression just off the side of the driveway. Currently, the surface water from the driveway runs down the driveway and at one time entered, this grassed yard that was between the two structures. To help capture that runoff, or slow that runoff down and infiltrate it, we'll add that dry well system. The combined area of the driveway and roof area being captured, and comparing that with the proposed patio area, we are reducing the amount of surface water runoff by about 65% from those areas by adding the infiltration structures. We are also providing planting mitigations that are closest to the salt marsh. This work is within riverfront area, so we are proposing a 1-to-1 offset of proposed patio area versus mitigation area. And that mitigation area will be right adjacent to the salt marsh, closest to the resource areas as recommended by the Wetlands Protection Act. Right now, it's all grassed area. We're proposing to remove the grass and plant it with appropriate coastal tolerant species, including northern bayberry, beach plum, Virginia rose. And then the remaining area between the plants is going to be a conservation wildlife seed mix to stabilize that area and provide some native habitat. The plantings will be spaced at 3 feet on center as specified on the plan, and that's going to require approximately 180 shrubs to be planted over that footprint, which is about 1,600 square feet. Again, this was in response to an enforcement order, and I'd be happy to take any questions on the proposal.
The plan I have here shows nothing in the way of vegetation.
It was an
indicates-
existing plan and a proposed plan, so it was a two-sheet.
Yes, existing site and proposed site. It has existing grass to remain. I see nothing about the type of plants, or do I have the wrong one?
It's labeled in the upper left-hand corner, and describes the type of plants.
It doesn't show me where, I see that. It doesn't show where it's going to, all right, so,
This is the one we're at.
yeah. I will start asking questions. I'll start with Joe.
There's none for me.
Denise.
Come back to me, please.
I was hoping not to have,
Sorry.
Michael.
I do have a few questions here. First of all, I noticed that there was a tree taken down, which was like right in front of the river, which was also part of like the grading for the grassy area. This project, that wasn't part of a project to get a better view of the water now, was it?
No. As part of the application, I did submit a picture, and it was, there wasn't really any leaf out above.
But
below.
even so, like this time of year, there would be leaves on the tree, so this wasn't a plan to get a better view of the water, though?
No,
That's my question.
I don't believe so, no.
All right. Secondly, let's see. I did notice, speaking of staking and all that other stuff, not on property 8, but on the other property, there were some stakes on that property. This isn't part of this plan 4 and 8, or is that a totally different project?
So we had staked the mitigation areas, the patio, the dry wells, the carport, which was roughly 30 stakes. But at the same time, the property owner wanted his boundary line staked, so we had staked some points on the property line, which would, help him out, at least on number 4 on the western boundary. He's got a fence line, and he owns about 10 feet beyond that, and some of that area on the other side of the fence is grass that's going to be proposed to be turned to mitigation. So we, adding those few stakes will allow him to make sure he keeps his work on his own property. Same goes for what's proposed on number 8, which we can discuss after.
Gotcha, okay, so that's not a future project or whatever?
No.
Okay, that's
Yep.
just what I was curious about. Okay, and finally, Sandy, are we looking at fines by chance for this or not?
Oh, there's going to be fines.
All right, then that's all I had this time then, thank you.
You can come back to me.
No. Autumn.
Gonna punish me?
The only thing that I need clarification on the plans is for your erosion control, it states both a hay bale and straw bale in that same corner. I'd like to note that hay bales present a risk to our environment because they introduce invasives to our area. Would you be open to using an alternative erosion control, like a silt fence or straw wattles?
Yeah, we do have, we call it a double-staked straw bale. The detail says cross-section of hay bale, so maybe we should change that hay bale to a straw
Yeah,
bale.
Yeah, no, totally fine. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
We had proposed this type of erosion control over a straw wattle. Straw wattles are smaller in size, so I thought due to the, everything being downgraded and so close to the salt marsh, we wanted more structurally sound erosion control
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
this project.
Yeah, as long as it's not hail or hay,
Yeah.
I'm happy. Thank you.
Paula Jean.
Yeah, I was thinking about the straw wattles as well, thank you. For instance, the chain link fence looks pretty new, that black chain link fence that was put in there. Is that something we would have removed? Because that was put in the 30-foot zone. I believe they're easily 30 feet within the water.
Is it on the
because-
plan?
No, it's
Yeah, the
it's there
existing,
in real life on the property.
I know that, but I'm trying to see it. Is it on the plan?
yeah, it's on the existing conditions plan, you can clearly see it. And on the proposed site plan, our mitigation's going right up to it. So everything water side of the existing chain link fence was proposed to be mitigated with plantings.
So would the fence be removed, taken back out of there? Because would we have permitted
It's
that
not
in the
proposed
30-foot
at this
zone?
time. It's not proposed at this time.
When was
But
it
I
put in?
think It's
That-
new.
I don't have a date on that. Obviously, after this picture, so.
Yeah, it looked pretty darn new. And in fact, wasn't there some more rolled up that wasn't installed yet? I think there might have been some more there. It's the
I'm
first thing
thinking
that caught
was-
my eye, you know.
I think that was removed and rolled up.
Some-
So it may
okay,
have
but
been
it all
pre-existing.
looked pretty pristine
Yeah.
and new, and I thought that's in the 30-foot zone, so that should be hauled out of there.
Unless there's a reason, safety reason for it to be there, to keep kids out of the marsh.
Well, I mean, I guess
But it's just,
needed everywhere.
so I guess we asked the question, when did they put in the fence?
That would be something that I would need to consult the property owner on.
Okay, anything else, Paula Jean?
Just when we add up, you know, I'm waiting to see what we do for fines, because there's really a lot there's a huge amount that was done.
I completely
you
understand.
know.
I'm here presenting something to correct this situation and fully aware that there'll be fines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Assessed.
I mean, I guess I'm looking at, do we need to have removed some of the things that were put in there? If
That's
they were
part of
things-
it, that's part of the discussion. All
Calling
if it's
calling
within.
it out and
Yep.
and putting it back and then start
Yep,
from square one.
that's part of this discussion.
Yeah.
It's
that's
understandable.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Scott?
I'm wondering about the roof dry well, the proposed roof dry well. So it looks like there's a little bit more than 700 square feet of roof that's going to go into that one that's in, looks like the northeast corner. There's a 2 LC6 chamber with a sump. I'm just wondering about the calculations for that, how, without going into the details of the engineering, just enlighten us about how that size dry well and its structure is designed for that, looks like, I say, a little bit more than 700 square feet.
Yeah, so I basically will calculate the total anticipated roof area based off the slopes and where what gutters drain, and try to account for at least about a 1-inch rainfall storage that can be contained in that infiltration, ignoring any infiltration. So it will guarantee hold 1 inch or greater, or at least 1 inch of stormwater runoff from that.
And if we exceed 1 inch, what happens to the water then?
Typically would overflow at the connection.
Okay. And what does the sump do? The sump?
The sump on,
So there's a proposed roof dry well, 2 LC6 chambers. Sump.
that's specifying the elevation. So basically, we're going to dig out unsuitable soils, put in a layer of crushed stone, then put the concrete chamber on top of the crushed stone, and then crushed stone around it. And where that interface is between the bottom of the concrete and the crushed stone, I call that the sump elevation of the structure.
Right,
I
thank
have
you.
it shown on detail so a contractor can kind of determine how to set those structures.
Okay, thank you.
Jessica?
No questions for me.
Okay. The proposed carport, where's the dry well off of that? I see it coming off the house, going up to the one in the upper north east corner. But I see nothing coming off the carport.
Yeah, I have nothing proposed at this time to connect.
Where's that runoff to go?
That would, discharge on the ground like the current gutters do. So I had the option, I looked at, yeah, we're adding impervious area, but I'm capturing impervious area in other areas to try to offset the runoff that's being created by this new impervious areas.
Okay, now, how much soil has been removed from this property? It looks like they cleared how many feet from the edge of the deck has been removed?
So, on the existing conditions plan, I showed some contour lines that are bolder and have a box around the contour label. Those are representing topo that's I obtained from like a 2021 aerial survey that's available online. And we could also picked up the elevation of where the grade was at the house. You could see the staining of the soils against the foundation. So at the house, current grade is about 11.6, 11.7, and original grade is 15.3. So that's about three and a half feet.
If I take a look at the existing, don't I see about 16 feet where the deck is for that house? 16, 15?
No.
So,
Those might be, those are the existing contours.
yes,
And so in the patio area, it ranged between 11 out by the 30-foot offset, existing grade, former grade before any work, and about 15 at the house.
okay.
Today, it's 11 out roughly at the 30-foot because he tapered the grade out to original grade or cut down. And it's about 11.6
So-
at the house.
He removed his whole front yard because he had a drainage issue.
Well, he had bigger plans too, obviously, to put a patio in,
Just
but
too bad he didn't do a dry well for a drainage issue. So all that soil between the house and 30 feet from the salt marsh has been removed. All the work that has been done is within the 100 feet of the salt marsh, in the top of the coastal bank, within 30 feet of the coastal bank.
I completely understand. Yep.
I'm really thinking, guess what? You put it all back. That's my thinking. This should never have been permitted. Who was the contractor who did this work without even considering it needed a conservation?
I don't know if he hired somebody or is somebody, he did
mean,
his work
there-
himself.
There had to be a lot of trucks going back and forth.
Assuming there was a machine on this property to move
This-
that material.
This is not pretty at all. Now, I've got more, but Denise, your turn.
No. You guys have pointed out a lot of stuff, but I had a concern with the wall he's doing down by the water. There was a blocks that he placed on top of a wall that's down there, and that seems extremely unstable. They're not connected to anything. They're just laid on top of a crooked wall.
I think that was all pre-existing when he purchased this property. There was like a bold, kind of granite blocks or,
Well, according to who I spoke to at the house, they were new.
that I'm not
Placed those
aware.
on top of them. I think that wall needs to be stabilized in some form. So what are your plans for that,
If it stays.
if it stays, right?
Again, that was down pretty much following the salt marsh, the edge of the salt marsh, and that was a bunch of pre-existing blocks or CMU blocks or granite that was existing probably when he bought the property. I don't know if he fixed some of them or attempted to fix the top cap of them, and
Yeah, well, they're just
they don't-
laid on top of them at this point.
Yeah.
So it's something, if it stays, something needs to be done to stabilize them. Because
Yeah.
if somebody steps on one of those, they're going to go,
Maybe he stopped because of the cease and desist.
maybe, I don't know, no idea.
Yeah, I don't think he was doing any work in that area. It was all adjacent to the house.
And then to Sandy's point, we definitely would need a list of what you're planning on planting out there and where you're going to plant them. We would appreciate that. So
Yeah.
we could take a look at that.
There is a list on the plan that specifies the 3 species. It's in the upper left corner of that, in that note.
Okay, I missed that, thank you.
I did too. Mitigation note. By removing the soil, he lowered the elevation of his backyard, how many feet down?
At most, adjacent to the house.
I mean, there's no longer the rise there that used to be there. That whole patio, that whole area's been cleared and it's flat.
Correct, yep. So
I
it's,
mean, he's opened himself to flooding where it didn't have it before because it hit this rise.
that's correct.
So he's now in a coastal flood zone, is he not, because he removed all that soil?
With the topo, yes, he is.
Wow.
I completely understand. We're trying to correct the situation here, and we're at this commission's mercy on what's going to be allowed to stay, and if any changes are necessary to restore.
I have a question.
So he's, yeah,
Would that make him then subject to FEMA regulations for this
Yeah.
work?
I would think so.
Because he's now below,
He's now in a coastal flood zone where he may not have been.
going from Zone X to Zone AE, maybe?
That's pertaining to housework, house building permits, that type of stuff, not necessarily these issues with site work within your jurisdiction.
And he's done a lot of work under the patio. I seen a bunch of blocks underneath the patio, so from the walkout, virtually all the way to the water, he's taken that all out and he's leveled it.
Correct, yes.
So would the work then that was done in the no-activity zone have to be returned to its original?
Well, guess
Plus
what?
the-
All of it is. Look at the line. Coastal, 30 feet coastal bank. That's part of the house. So everything he's done was in 30 feet of a coastal bank.
So if we were to have like the patio and everything removed, and the land brought back up to whatever level it was, and then the mitigation in terms of these plantings and the fixing of that wall, if the wall stays or not, does that bring it back to where it kind of was?
No, it'll never get back to where it was unless he brings all the soil to raise it up to,
Correct.
you know.
And that would
so-
be
but-
removing the patio and bringing everything back up to levels that it was? And then
It's-
adding the plantings?
That's part of a discussion. Josh, your comments on this project?
One thing I would like to add is the paved driveway in the front of the house is something that should be handled under the enforcement as well. That wasn't pre-existing as,
So we paved
Pre-existing
that
as it
huge
well.
driveway within 100 feet of the coastal bank?
looks like it was done sometime between 22 and 23.
Well, it certainly helps to have a house out in the middle of nowhere. If it's not no one put eyeballs on it, to have all that work done and not permitted. It's hard to believe, no building permit, no, anybody doing the work, I didn't say, hey, did you have conservation? I would love to find the contractors too. But anything else, Josh? I mean, what would you, I guess, what would be your recommendation?
From prior things that you have permitted, as far as the fence is concerned, if it was there before, you've allowed reconstruction of fences. I think you've actually allowed fences within the no activity zone prior to me being here. I've been on a few site visits that I've noticed that has happened. I mean, you're right, it's within the coastal bank, it's within 30 feet of that. You know, historically, very recently, you guys have
We've made other people undo their patio that was done without permit within 30 feet.
But I think there also is a restoration component to this.
Well,
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
of
that-
course. I mean, the project is one thing, but returning it to the best we can do,
Right.
whether or not it's bring it up, put in fill and loam and seed it. I don't think we can get a rise out of it, but it's up,
Right.
it's that they're at disadvantage to lose that height.
Right.
Because if the water comes up, they no longer have that component to block their
Water.
flood.
But-
So they really have endangered their property should we have a coastal storm coming up that river.
Right, but
And those mitigation plans are tied to the performance standards of the riverfront. So if you're not allowing the project to go forward, you know, that mitigation planting almost doesn't seem like it should need to be done because it's mitigation for work done within the 100-foot riverfront.
riverfront.
So just something to keep in mind.
Same goes for the roof dry wells. We're trying to offset the impacts of proposed impervious area by capturing actually more roof and more driveway than what's being proposed under the patio and carport area.
But the dry wells, do they help the problem that he created by lowering his land or
In-
not?
They will help with surface water runoff during like a rainstorm.
Rainstorms.
If it's a flood and the water comes up that high, I mean, there's going to be a lot bigger issues
Yeah.
elsewhere to get up to elevation, I believe, 11, where it will hit the proposed patio. 100-year elevation is 14, so it's still a pretty sizable storm to get up to elevation 11. It is work on a coastal bank. I mean, and within the 30-foot. It's all pre-existing. It's all fully grassed yard. Obviously, whatever you do to the coastal bank, you don't want to make it unstable. So he actually took a sloped area and leveled it off, which in the eyes of surface water runoff, it's flatter, it slows down. Surface water runoff.
A grassed sloped area.
It's a grassed
that shows
slope area.
no evidence of erosion in the picture that was in the plan.
No, but it's a grassed slope area.
Yes.
We're not necessarily erosion, I'm more looking at surface water runoff and velocities, quantities. So the mitigation plantings will actually help out because we're creating a buffer that's, I guess, in the ballpark of, 10 to 15, maybe even 20 feet wide, where we're taking that grassed slope that in this situation, it's all, for the most part, water side of that chain link fence and the temporary silt fence that was installed to capture sediment, since it's been sitting for a few months
I
now.
guess doing that on the other side of the chain link fence and the water side, they'll get rid of all this Phragmites.
Well, we're kind of going up to it, so we're not.
Oh, you're saying on the other side of the fence down to the water is where he wants his mitigation. That means removing all the Phragmites.
We're going to go up to the edge of the existing vegetation, so we weren't going to remove any Phragmites as part of the project.
While we're at it, can we remove it looks like they spread reclaim, it's spread around the property. I picked up, it's got small pieces of ground-up asphalt in it. That's what they use, so it wasn't really gravel. A lot of it is
I
reclaim.
think that's like the gravel base. Are you
Well, it's
talking
got
in the
pieces
patio
of-
area?
I haven't got a picture with it marked where, but
Yeah.
in my notes, it was here and there crushed, and when I looked more closely, it was actually reclaim. It was not crushed stone. There is a pile of crushed 1-inch bluestone sitting by the driveway up closer to the road.
Yeah.
But this reclaim, asphalt and crumbled asphalt being washed into the water at the same time is something we want to jump on and
Well, I think whatever material you're describing
Yeah.
is something that was used for the base of the proposed patio that he was partially
Yeah,
constructing.
It's the
So-
cheapest material you can
So
get.
it's kind of a gravel base.
Okay, I call it reclaim, I don't call it gravel, just because it's, ground up old roads when they redo the roads. I didn't know if anyone noticed that that's what the material was.
Yeah.
So can I go back just a second? I'm sorry, I misinterpreted your drawing. I thought the proposed carport was tied into the,
I don't have anything tied in yet. I mean, it's something we could do if we were looking at offsets between existing and proposed.
yeah. So is that a shed roof on the carport? Or is that a gable roof or shed
Probably be a
roof?
gable roof, yeah.
A gable roof. And then, so would that be gutted as well?
Could be.
So you're concentrating then the water into a small area, but not gathering it in this plan anyway into the runoff control system?
Correct, yes. But we do collect all the other concentrated areas where their downspouts are on the existing house.
Okay, so you have a walkway coming along the east side from the garage down the whole side of the house to a set of steps that goes to the deck. That's one of the proposed block walkways. The other block walkway is on the west side, going the whole length of the garage, the length of the dwelling, and into the proposed patio, correct?
Correct, yes.
And that's all within the 30-foot zone?
I mean,
Josh, can you put that up and show everybody where that 30-foot no-work zone is?
It's there. 30-foot coastal bank offset, I think this is it.
It goes through the middle of the house.
Goes through the middle of the house, but it takes in all of that block
All right, so it's right there.
patio,
All right.
takes in the
I see what it is
walkways
now.
on the side, so obviously that's not going to be,
again, it was all in like grassed areas, just
Correct.
all typical.
but it's
You
in
know,
a no activity zone.
I understand that, but
But
it's
have
all
we-
adjacent to the house where you typically would have these type of features.
Yep.
If you're going to walk from the house to the driveway, you want a stable surface, you're not walking
Was it
across.
disturbed before?
Disturbed as in, it's not
Was there
native?
befo-
Yeah.
What was
It's
there
grass,
prior? It was
grass,
just grass, so that's.
Grass, yep. He's got actually the area, I believe, between the cobble, there's like a cobble and
Some timber.
timber wall,
But that's basically outside the no activity zone, all of that.
and between that and the garage, I believe there's some like crushed stone in that area at the moment.
Okay. Okay, Josh, where is our 30?
So
Did-
you
Did
have
we,
a-
did we change the
He
top?
calls it the 30-foot coastal bank
Yeah.
offset.
Did we change the top of the coastal bank because of the soil that was removed?
There was an alteration to the coastal bank.
Sorry, folks. There was,
An alteration to the coastal bank, yeah.
Yeah, so it did alter from the new grading.
As an engineer, is there something that you could suggest that could mitigate what happened in the backyard, other than bringing all the dirt back and bringing the level back up?
Well, I think that the mitigation plantings will help. One, slow surface water runoff. It also would help maybe during a flooding event, adding more vegetation as opposed to just grass straight from the salt marsh. That would help slow down stormwater events. Again, if it's a big stormwater, if it's a 100-year storm,
Right.
I mean,
And then if the dirt is not brought back in and it stays at this level, then does he have to deal with FEMA? Is that like a given?
It would be subject, he'd be subject to FEMA if he's trying to pull a building permit and do work to the house, and he would be improving the house more than 50% the value of the work versus the structure. So there's, depending on the size of the project, you're exempt from having to bring the house into compliance. If he wants to, remodel the entire house, and that value costs, greater than 50, equal to or greater than 50% the value of the structure, then there's a chance that you would have to make it floodplain compliant. In this case here, it is elevation 14 is the flood zone. Finished floor of the house is 20, so, first floor meets requirements. I don't know where his utilities are. It is a lower enclosure, but that's more pertaining to when there's work involved with altering the house itself.
Okay.
It also could be involved with, taking a mortgage on the property and having to get a elevation cert and getting rated.
Okay.
That could come into play as well.
Come into play. So he's done more harm to himself than good by what he's done.
In regards to FEMA, yes.
So if you-
So, sitting here thinking about this project and a few that you guys have already seen, there are other communities that allow for work to be done, maybe in their no activity zone, maybe just within the buffer zone, where they require mitigation plantings, to allow the work. You guys have never done that for work within your 30-foot no activity zone, but you kind of have an exemption written in there that could allow you to waive it. One of your exemptions is if it is a judgment, such a reduction is necessary to accommodate a project that will have an overall benefit to the public and/or the environment, such as a sewer expansion project or wildlife enhancement project. Kind of a broad term. If you think mitigation is an improvement to wildlife habitat, maybe that's something the commission could consider with projects in or around their no activity zone, but maybe
think-
just some food for thought.
I think we're getting into a whole different,
Yeah,
when we start allowing stuff in our no activity zones, because we've been pretty firm with that.
I agree. It is an exemption that you guys have established.
Correct. But
That's-
I didn't, reading that and looking at this project, I didn't really feel that it fell within what we could bend the rules for, kind of thing. Or allow an exemption for, not maybe bend the rules, but.
Right. Well.
What are your general ideas of what you would like to see happen? I'd like the commission to.
Any comments from anybody? I think I've been very vocal. Somebody else?
I agree with what I think you're saying, Sandy, is that really, we want to see it brought back to square one. We want to see it restored as it was. Then they could come forward and ask, can we do this, that, and the other thing? It may not be the most efficient, cheapest way out, but I think first things first, we want to take care of undo the things that were done which are harmful to the resource
So
area.
what I'm hearing is that remove the hardscape that has already been installed without approval.
Yeah.
Fill in the partially graded patio area with soil, loam, and seeded. Am I hearing something like
I have
that?
no problem
Yes.
with that.
And take out the chain link fence, the cinder blocks that are lying along the edge of the
I'm trying to-
water.
Well, no, wait. When I say hardscape, I mean everything that is in orange that looks like it was a retaining wall of any way, shape, that's the hardscape that I'm thinking of removing, including that piece of, all the blocks, all the hardscape, the stairs and everything.
Can I ask a question? Just to be clear, so the suggestion is to return it to its original condition and then come back and ask for permission to do something different?
I didn't go quite that far.
Well,
I heard that, but I'm not,
I'm wondering about the overall impact if that was our approach, right? How much activity, how much disruption, how much disturbance, if we require like that, restoration and then again work later
See,
on.
I don't think we could really, everything that he wants to do is in 30 feet.
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
no way we could think about allowing anything within that.
And I'm not speaking to that at all, except to process. To
Yes.
say, perhaps it would make more sense to look at what we would approve so that we can, instead of going all the way back to 0 and then coming there, we can
Meet
give them a-
partial.
Yeah, give them somewhere to go that doesn't require a complete undoing if there's something that we're willing
Yep.
to approve.
Right, if it isn't in the 30-foot zone.
Exactly.
Right.
So take
what I
out
meant
what was
about
put in the no
efficiency.
activity zone.
Well, that's everything.
Well, that's not
No.
everything.
We could take the
I mean,
dock off the marsh grass within 20
It's a
feet of the
lot,
water.
yes, but we've had people remove stuff that they've done
Let's
in the
mention
activity
that.
zone before.
Well,
I'm just- I'm sorry.
I've heard all your comments. I mean, I'm willing to come back with maybe a different alteration to this plan that scales it back and, I don't think I can get everything outside of the 30-foot of the coastal bank, because the whole house is in the
It's in the coastal bank.
But we're not within 30 feet of the salt marsh, so it's not this wasn't a pre-existing yard that was native coastal bank wooded. This was a grass yard that's been used like that. I think he probably just fenced his yard in for his kids to keep them in his property. And obviously, plans changed since he's bought the house and wanted this patio area, but we could look at, maybe meeting in the middle somewhere, scaling stuff back, maybe bringing some grade back in, maybe adding retaining wall around this patio area. So it's kind of a sunken-in patio area where I get the grade back on the water side to get it back up and try to, get this property back, or the house back out of the
Okay.
flood zone.
You can't have a patio in the no activity zone. You just can't. I mean.
Again, there's multiple.
Precedent has been set by the commission. We
Yeah.
don't allow patios in the no activity zones.
I like the approach, though, because I think that's more of a
I do
common
like that
sense
also. I
approach.
like being able to include this plantings and stuff that he's talking about, either the removal of or the fixing of the wall that's down there, the taking out of the walkways that are within the no activity zone, but the timber, where the timber and the cobbles were before, obviously they can have a walkway there,
Well, they're allowed to have a
because that was already, it's a
5-foot
pre-existing.
access to their,
Yeah, this is just typical residential walkway, flagstone, block, anything, type of walkway to
but
have a
if it's-
suitable surface to walk.
It's handled only within the area where there was a timber and cobbled walkway before. That was a pre-existing condition. That can stay. The walkway on the opposite side, that's within the 30-foot no-activity zone, can't stay, but there is a portion of it that can stay.
So I wonder if we should
Yes.
let Brad come back with a plan that is that kind of, instead of it's a full undo and then start from scratch, if we're trying to minimize overall impact in our 30-foot, let's give him an opportunity to come back with something that we could approve as an overall approach to the project.
But is there a clear performance standard, so it doesn't have to keep re-engineering and coming back and saying, no, that's not good enough, and going back and re-engineering it again? Is there Josh, maybe you would know if there's a clear performance standard for this?
Not that you guys have established, not that it exists in the Wetlands Protection Act.
Brad is very familiar with the work that we've allowed in the past. I think
Yep.
he would be able to come up with something that
Yeah.
would be acceptable.
You've definitely,
based on
you've
his
definitely in certain
reputation.
situations allowed for work within the 30-foot no-touch. And again, there's a number of resource areas here that are, have different setbacks. The coastal bank's all based off the elevation. Salt marsh is established. We're outside the 30-foot, so I made sure you didn't do any work within that 30-foot salt marsh. The whole house is within half the house is within the 30-foot coastal bank offset. And as it is today, the coastal bank is up against the house, as of where the grade is been adjusted.
My last question, I guess, Sandy, when you talked about removing the hardscaping, would that include the unpermitted existing paved driveway that's within the 100-foot?
No. I'm talking about what's along the coastal bank. The existing paved driveway is within our jurisdiction. It probably would have been allowed if we had asked. It could have been a different type of material, would have been a discussion. But the driveway would have been more than likely allowed. Just not hard paved. But, that's definitely a fine. It would have been permitted if they had asked us first. But it's all that activity that was done along the coastal bank. I'm going to dig everything up.
And I think also, this would allow us to go back and take a look at exactly what was done and what fines apply. Because I think we need to really take a hard look at what was done, what has to be fined.
Yep.
And if you want to talk about precedent for things that you guys have done, the last patio that you had removed, you allowed the pathway to remain
Yes.
Correct.
on the side of the house.
It's a 5-foot,
Well,
That went down to the water,
That wasn't even
but-
that wide. It was luckily to be 3 feet.
3
Right,
feet.
but I'm talking about the pathway that was on the side of the house.
Yes.
That was in your 30-foot no activity zone. I'm not a fan of the precedent talk, because I think there's an argument that it doesn't matter, but that's something that you've done.
Allowing a walkway to remain for
Along the
easy,
side
for
of the
easy
house.
safety access to the
That-
front of the,
That is something you very recently have allowed.
yes.
You have allowed mitigation, right, in the 30-foot
correct. And
replanting?
I don't think you have. I don't think that's a stance you have taken yet. I don't think you've allowed something in the 30-foot and allowed it to be mitigated with planting. Not that I can
I
think
mean,
of.
the actual mitigation to be executed within the 30-foot, like overall mitigation, like.
Oh, so
planting within the
you've
30.
allowed jurisdictional enhancements within the 30-foot no activity.
That's what I mean.
The proposed mitigation for the riverfront work that's being done here is within the, well, actually, it's not within the 30-foot no activity, it's within a resource area,
Oh, within the resource area. I understand.
technically. But I think you guys would historically allow beneficial plantings to, or even beneficial projects to happen in your 30-foot no activity.
Yeah, while we're talking about that, proposed mitigation plantings, you had mentioned during your initial discussion of this project that the Phragmites would not be removed. When you do come back with a revised plan, I think it would be nice to include a little bit more discussion on the proposed planting mitigation, because Phragmites will choke out those plants. They might kind of overshadow what you put in, and it could cause that effort and that money and time put into mitigating the work that was done or is going to be done. So I'd like to just see that to be as successful as possible, so maybe including a removal plan for the Phragmites would help that succeed.
All right, I can,
Yeah, mechanical removal.
That proposed Phragmites management may require you to go to the Rose Point Improvement Association. I don't think it's on your property.
Just a small section in the
Yeah.
southern,
Yeah.
I can't remove all of it without going off property
Right, so, just,
or into the salt marsh.
yeah, and it's just something to think of, because since I've been here, we've seen a project come before the commission and ultimately get turned away because of property issues.
Yes.
Just to clarify, we're still only talking about number 4, or are we talking about both?
we're-
It's kind
No,
of-
we're still on,
Okay, because it's,
Eight is-
ditto. And,
no.
all right, so in that case, there's a approximate 3-foot by 15-foot dock lying on the
Well,
grass within
that's-
20
that's-
feet of the water.
when
Minor
we-
details at this
When
point.
we get to
but
8, the dock will be mentioned.
There's one at each.
Want to
this-
take a shot at,
Well, we'll come back in 2 weeks and come up with an alternative to maybe address some of these comments to see if it's something that you're willing.
Yeah.
I'd rather not restore it completely back and then try to permit
so-
something after the fact. You know, if we meet in the middle somewhere on an attempt to...
repair the damage to the land is a starting point. I guess it's me, repair the damage to the land.
Well, that was the attempt here. We're definitely, we're adding a lot of
Yeah, you're going to
mitigation
put a
plans.
patio on the damaged land. Okay, yeah,
But it's, you know, dry wells,
yes.
mitigation, plantings. It's a pretty good benefit for this area since it's grass pitched right down to the salt marsh, right to the edge of the salt marsh. So we are providing a pretty decent buffer that will both capture runoff with dry wells and slow runoff from adding plantings. And then also with the property being leveled out, it slows down the velocity of runoff
Now-
in that area.
If you take a look at the prior grassed land, it shows stone as part of a seawall. Is it there? Are those stones still in the seawall? I
believe
didn't.
so, yeah.
I did not go on the other side of the fence,
Yeah,
so that's still there.
that's still there, yeah.
Okay,
There was, right when we got this delineated, we had a pretty heavy storm, so there was a lot of wash up over the top of that wall, just debris.
debris and stuff
That was all
probably.
covering that grass area,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so,
Down there, that's where I saw that the blocks were not.
all right. We want to give it a shot for the 18th?
Yeah, I motion to continue the hearing for the 18th of September, 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
600. Okay,
Thank you.
now it's number 8.
On the request for notice of intent for Glenn Mueller, 530 Spring Street, East Bridgewater, Massachusetts. The notice of intent is for work that was conducted without a permit. This work includes the removal of vegetation, grading, and the reconstruction of block retaining walls and a patio. The work will take place within the coastal bank, a 100-foot buffer to a salt marsh, coastal storm flowage, and riverfront area of the Sippican River. Map 78/2, Lot 132 and 133A, 8 Kennedy Street, West Wareham, Massachusetts. I motion to open the hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. The hearing is open. No, you're sworn in.
Again, Brad Bertola with JC Engineering on behalf of the property owner. Happens to be the same property owner as number 4. This one at number 8 is not as extensive as what took place at number 4. The projects that happened at number 8 was the removal and reconstruction of a patio and retaining walls on either side of the patio. And at the same time, they removed some, I believe they were arborvitae shrubs that were lined along the existing retaining wall. As part of the application, I had submitted pictures from the property owner of what it looked like.
Do you have the dimensions of the existing patio versus what he put in?
I was just about to get to that.
Oh.
So I utilized
Sorry.
the most recent aerial map and underlaid it over the survey. It appears to be built in the same location. There wasn't any expansion towards the water. The grade in the patio area lowered by roughly a foot. It was pretty much level before, but, so there was about a foot drop in elevation in that area, and the area between the existing patio as it is today and the erosion control barrier that he put up, it obviously involved some regrading, and it was pretty much sandy when we went out there back and took pictures when we first did the survey. I believe at least some of the disturbed areas are kind of filled in with grass. Maybe not specifically right adjacent to the patio area, but as part of this project, we are looking for a post facto approval for a patio and retaining wall that was previously constructed in the same location. We're also looking for permission or approval to plant some buffering plants along the property line that kind of will add some buffering between the properties and restore some vegetation that pre-existed on this property before any work was done. We also have mitigation within the property that's accounted for work on number 4. There was nothing expanded on number 8. There's no, nothing was increased in impervious area, so there was no proposed mitigation. We're just trying to restore back to what was there by adding some additional plantings along the property line. But
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions
try-
or take any suggestions on this aspect of the
Okay,
property.
Jessica, questions?
No questions at this time.
Scott?
No, thank you.
Paula Jean?
No new questions, just that when all is said and done, when we do this, getting the dock, there's one on each of these properties, moved off the grass as well as kayaks, that would be great.
Okay, Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Michael?
No questions, thank you.
Denise?
In addition to the dock, there's some floats that are underneath the dock that have to be removed. There was a ramp laying in the grass, that needs...
The ramp, the 3x15 was on the grass at the other property, the prior property.
Okay.
This one had the square one.
Yes, that has to be removed. The plantings are going to be done within, or you want to do them within the 30-foot marsh offset. What is there now?
It was
was just
I think it was just grass right up
Just
to
green
the
grass
salt marsh.
To the salt marsh. Again, this is where that wall was,
Yeah,
the retaining
think it
wall, I
was-
guess you would call it.
Yeah.
But it's got those blocks laying on top of it that are not stable again. And are arborvitae native? Oh, I didn't know if they were or not. The proposed arborvitae along the property line.
Certainly are a lot of them
There
around.
are a lot of them, but I didn't know if they were native or not.
I don't think they're
But they-
invasive.
They're not
But they're not,
invasive.
no,
Yeah.
but they're very
Yeah.
common as a fencing.
As an
Deer eat them
ornamental,
like crazy.
Yeah.
The deer eat them like crazy. They're not
Good.
exactly
I'd say they're more of an ornamental.
ornamental.
It's a screening, that's all it is. They don't last too long, and they end up,
Right, and just so that the property owners are aware, the deer eat them like crazy. They think
Yeah.
it's candy.
I was just trying to replace something back that was
Right.
there before, because it did have a pretty good screening between the neighbor.
Right.
Google says it's native.
It is native?
All
Okay.
right, there we go.
Thank you.
Ask the 8-ball.
Definitive.
yeah.
Move over, take
Joe.
30-foot dock, float under the dock.
No questions for me.
Any idea when this dock was permitted?
Yeah, is there a Chapter 91 involved with it?
I didn't see any on records on a Chapter 91 license.
Okay, then it's gotta go.
Hmm?
Then it can go.
There's a
There's no
pier, it's not just a seasonal dock, this is a fixed pier.
In a float that sort of...
I understand the float. I already told the client, the property owner, that float had to be removed.
Yes, it sort of likes to sit on the grass.
Yeah. He did I think, move the ramp, which was sitting on the float when we did the initial survey. So he got a portion of it removed, but
Oh.
not the priority.
Yeah, the float's still sitting underneath the dock as of yesterday.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, what is the square metal plate that's up on the lawn, what's left of a lawn? It's got chunks of cement mixed in with the grass and some asphalt up there, but there's a square metal plate.
Maybe 3 by 3?
Or a little, yeah, or maybe a little
Yeah.
bigger, yes. I wondered what that was.
I'm not familiar with where you're
Okay.
out on the
If,
street side of the property.
No,
no, if you're looking down at the water, you'd be, number 8 would be on your left. The house is on the left. You'd be to the right of the house looking at the water on the slope.
When I
Where
walked
this-
from 8 to 4, it was there closer to the water's
It's
edge.
kind of like dead grass area with
Oh,
chunks
all
of
right,
cement
yeah.
mixed in with the grass, and it's like another bomb went off.
Yeah, I believe I had discussions with that with the owner.
I wonder if it's hiding something.
Treasure.
Bomb shelter.
Yeah,
Is there septic?
it's on sewer now, so
So it could very well be a leftover.
I don't believe it is, but I'll get clarification on that. Sounds like we'll be coming back anyways, so.
Josh, your comments on this? I went around to everybody, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah, as Brad said, this one's more straightforward than your last one. No, I think all the comments have been addressed.
All right, so we want the float removed.
And again, if we continued this one also, then we would have time to go back and look into fines, I guess. Do you plan on continuing this
Well-
one, or just?
I mean, yeah, the fine would be they reconstructed the patio without approval, but it's in the same footprint. So it would be a 200 did it without approval type thing. But then we're down to the mitigation areas, which are linked to number 4.
Yeah, that was the only reason why I thought maybe we just push it.
So continue
I
it.
mean, I have, you know, whatever concerns or comments you have at number 8, I can address, if any, on a revised set of plans. But for this one, it seemed like it was just a simple replace in location, and,
Yeah, I would say if you're continuing 4, you should continue 8, just
Okay.
because of how those mitigation plantings lie.
And then we can find out when the fence was put in.
I motion to continue until September 18th, 2024.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. We're continued. And I thought tonight would be an easy night.
Josh should have put this at the end of the agenda.
Sorry.
All right,
That's what everybody in the audience is saying.
next one, please.
On the request for notice of intent for Patrick Highland, 417 Erie Drive, Jupiter, Florida, the applicant is proposing to construct a 24-foot by 24-foot detached garage, a 20-foot
Nice one.
24-foot wide paver driveway, and create access to the house with a 30-inch wide paver walkway. Additionally, a dry well will be installed to capture runoff from the roof, and a French drain will be installed to capture runoff from the driveway. Map 132, Lot 1056, 33 Mayflower Ridge Drive, Wareham, Massachusetts. I motion to open the hearing.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. We're 600, opening the hero. And please identify yourself.
Brian Wallace, JC Engineering.
Okay, Brian. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth regarding 33 Mayflower Ridge Drive.
I do.
Thank you. All right, you're up.
All right, thank you. So again, Brian Wallace with JC Engineering here on behalf of the owner. We're looking to build a 24 by 24 foot garage with a associated paver driveway and a walkway that is 2.5 feet wide that will connect the new garage to the existing dwelling. As part of the project, we are also proposing about 850 square feet of mitigation plantings, along with a roof dry well that would capture the runoff from the new garage, as well as the proposed driveway by means of a trench drain. There's a few resource areas on this property we're dealing with here. One is the riverfront area that is associated with the mean high water of the Wakinko River. We also have a delineated salt marsh that runs between the river and the project. And we have a coastal bank that is located at the break of slope behind the house as well. Additionally, most of the property is within flood zone AE elevation 14. So going back to the riverfront area, this project is subject to the standards and performance standards of that riverfront area. We're looking at this as a redevelopment of a previously developed lot, given that there's an existing dwelling and other alterations to it already existing here. So that is why we're providing the mitigation there that we are as a result of constructing the garage and the driveway. We are also going to propose a fence that would run along that 30-foot offset to the salt marsh there, just as another way of reinforcing that no further disturbance beyond that point. So with that being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Jessica?
No questions at this time.
Scott?
No questions.
Paula Jean?
What material are you proposing to use for the driveway? Is it something impervious or pervious?
We are proposing something that would probably be impervious, which is why we're providing a trench drain that would control and capture all of that runoff in that area.
Thank you.
Yep.
Autumn?
Yeah, I would just like to clarify, similar to the last application, the map shows that there's a cross-section of a hay bale, but it is marked as being a straw bale.
Use the same detail there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that would be either a straw bale or a straw wattle. No use of hay. So
Perfect.
We'll take that one back to the office and update it.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Michael?
Okay. On the application on page 4, it says that the project's partially within priority habitat areas of the river. I'm not sure which of endangered species. Now, on page 10 now, when answering the question, is the area within endangered species, it's answering no. Do we
Yeah.
have any clarification from the state? Do we got a DP file number on this? I'm just out of curiosity.
Yeah, sorry. I guess there was a little confusion with the wording there. So a portion of the property is within natural heritage, but we are not proposing any work within that area.
Okay.
So that's why we checked the box no on the application.
Okay. And when I was down there, I did see some stakes within the riverfront area, so no work is going to be done within that area at all?
Most of the property is actually within the 100-foot riverfront area. That runs in front of the existing house and would be presumably in front of the existing garage and halfway through the driveway about. So there really wasn't any way to avoid that. When we went through our alternatives analysis, we looked at A, being a no-build, which just wouldn't achieve the project purpose here, and B, relocating the garage in a location that would be better suited. But there really isn't. We are up against the zoning requirement where we can't be any closer than the existing dwelling to the front. So we pushed it as close as we could with this structure. We're 30 feet from the front. The existing house is 29.9. So there just unfortunately wasn't any way to lessen the impact, I guess, in the riverfront area there.
Right, thank you.
Yep.
Joe?
No questions for me.
Sandy, you skipped.
Oh, sorry. Denise, sorry.
If I'm looking at the plan where you're proposing the paver driveway, all of that vegetation is coming out?
That is correct. What I can say is that 34-inch tree, we are trying to retain that. We don't want to take that.
The one with the treehouse in it?
That one, no, that one doesn't have the tree house in it. That tree would also remain.
Okay, so that tree remains and the other tree is staying in.
Yeah, everything between, you probably saw the front stakes for the garage. It's a straight shot to the road.
Right.
So everything in that area would be removed. That 34-inch tree is close, but it's going to be
It's gonna
retained.
stay there.
Yep.
And then what, you were saying something about mitigation for something? Could you go back over that again for me,
Sure,
please?
yeah, so to meet the performance standards of the project within the riverfront area, we're providing the mitigation plantings that would convert directly behind the garage, a portion of existing lawn area, from lawn to a series of shrubs, 4 different species of shrubs, and a conservation seed mix would be, turned into that area, and then we'd also be providing a fence there to
Okay.
further restrict work in that area.
I miss on this one, the listing of what the plantings are going to be.
That's at the bottom of
Bottom left,
the plan,
color-coded.
with quantities.
Oh, I see, okay. All right.
And
Excellent.
of course, with anything, alternative species could be switched in, at the discretion of the agent there. Yep.
Okay. I think that was all. And there's no walkway, correct, going to the garage, or is there?
There would be a walkway. Yep.
Going
So
from
that
where
is
to where?
shown.
It wasn't staked.
Walkway was not staked. I'm very sorry. So, hopefully you would have been able to
Giving me a
perhaps
twitch.
visualize.
You are giving me a twitch, because
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, you know what happens.
Yeah, I understand. It's an open area, really, between the.
And I think the main problem was with it not being staked. I was talking to one of the homeowners while I was there that had really no clue.
Right.
I mean, as far as they were concerned, the garage doors are on a completely different side than you have them in the plans, and no mention of a walkway at all. The driveway they thought was coming in on a curve. I mean, this is why you stake things, so that we have a clear view if the homeowner does not.
Yep, understood. I'm
I'm
sorry
gonna
about that.
take a step back and just, you guys can decide what you want to do.
I was surprised that the driveway was not staked on Mayflower Ridge. So I had a tough time trying to see through all the vegetation to line up to the stakes for the garage to see they would come in. The idea is they're as far away from the house as possible. Was it less of a slope for the driveway? Is that why it's so far away?
Yeah, the main reason is the septic system, I think, is sort of really centered right in the middle of the property there.
Oh,
So
you had to work,
we had to put it on that side of the property, and, you're already at that point.
that's right, there's no sewer there
Yep.
yet. Okay. Because my garage is 150 feet from the house, and sometimes I get very wet. Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to comment on this project? Anybody online? Nope. Josh, your comments, please?
Issue an order of conditions with the following conditions. The proposed mitigation area is to be a continuing condition in perpetuity, and then after 3 years, any dead plants shall be replaced.
Okay,
Right, and before I make a motion, I just want to double check with the commission that we are going to continue this hearing based on,
the property, the garage was staked. What wasn't staked was the walkway.
The whole project is supposed to be staked.
Sorry?
The whole project is supposed to be staked, you know that.
Make the motion.
I would move to continue this to the next meeting on September, based on the fact that the project was not completely staked.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of continuing because the driveway, the walkway wasn't staked, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. 510.
Oh, thank you for your time.
Now, who's going to go back out to check that staking?
Oh, I'll be out there. I'll see you.
We'll get that taken care of in the next
Thank
couple
you.
days here.
By next Monday?
Yeah, we can do that.
meeting.
Let me confirm. I'll let Josh know when that's all set, but
And then if you can also stake down by the road where the driveway starts.
we'll set 2 up by the road for the driveway and then a couple along the
Thank
walkway
you.
there.
And how do you spell your last name?
Wallace, that's W-A-L-L-A-C-E.
A-C-E. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
And maybe some stakes for the center line of the walkway,
That's
instead of you throwing 2 stakes on either side.
No problem. Yep.
We have a continued hearing for 40 Great Neck Road Development LLC. They requested a continuance until 9/18.
I motion to continue until 9:18.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. We're continued until 9/18. It was just too bad that the changes they provided did not come to us in time to handle, to research. We want things at least a week before our hearing, correct?
Correct.
We have a continued for Stephen King at 27 Agawam Lakeshore Drive. We had no DEP filing, if that was my understanding. Is that why we continued?
Correct?
Do we have one?
Yes.
And anybody online to comment on this one? Anybody in the audience?
He's coming.
Okay. You might as well, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth regarding 27 Agawam Lakeshore Drive. Lakeshore's Drive, thank you. And then identify yourself, please.
My name is Stephen King, and I am the owner of the property.
Stephen with a V or a PH?
It's on the,
It's a PH, thank you.
all right, talk to us about the trees that are leaning the wrong way.
Well, I'm proposing to take 7 trees down total, and 3 of them are within your jurisdiction, I understand, and 4 of them are probably not. And these 3 trees are leaning quite a bit. We're concerned about the safety of them falling on the house or somebody else, and including my 2 neighbors on either side. Also would like to see them taken down.
Do you have any statements from the neighbors?
Sorry.
Statements from the neighbors or not? Do you have a letter from any of the neighbors stating that they'd like the trees down?
Do I have a letter from the neighbors?
Right. Do you have anything in writing from the neighbors? I'm just,
I don't, but one of them is here.
oh, okay.
Okay. Jessica,
If I'm not talking loud
that's
enough.
right. Jessica, questions?
No questions.
Scott?
Looks like to me like those trees need to come down.
Yeah, they're a little,
That's not a question. Sorry. No
what is
question.
it?
No questions, thank
No
you.
questions. Yeah, they seem to be a little awkward, sideways. There we go. Paula Jean, questions?
Okay, well, looking from the water toward the street, the big oak, it's a big healthy oak, does have a tilt to it toward the neighbor's house, the one, if you're looking toward the street, the one on the left nearest the street. The pitch pine near where you park your vehicles doesn't look like it's a problem to any, even if any houses, it doesn't look like it would be a problem.
But that's outside of the 100-foot.
Right. Down by the water, the 2 dead trees, they're small and they're definitely dead, but I don't know if any thought was given to how important snags, standing dead trees, are to wildlife, to habitat for insects, which is food for birds, for birds that nest in cavities, they need the holes to live in. The loose bark on a tree, the smallest crevices can house bats. It looks like a dead tree to us, but they're teeming with wildlife, and they're right near the water, and I know how important that is to wildlife, and I just wanted to bring that up, because I'm sure you, like many people who are fortunate enough to own beautiful property near the water, want to do the best they can for nature and its other inhabitants. So that was my first thought about the dead trees. I just wanted to mention that to you. Also, with the trees you have marked, there are actually 8, because there's, with one of the oaks growing, the oak that has the dirt ring dug around it, there's the one closer to the street has a Pinus regatta, not near the Pinus regatta, the taxus tree. There's a yew growing in with it, a taxus. I don't know if you saw that tree. It's growing right from the same base, so if you take one out, you're gonna have to take them both out, so that just brings the number up to 8.
Thank you. Autumn?
Would removing the trees closest to the coastline affect the stability of your property at all? You know, because the tree's roots do hold soil and they prevent erosion, so I just want to confirm that, you know, if this is a safety risk, you know, you're concerned about the tree falling and hurting someone or damaging your property. I just want to be sure that it's not going to damage the soil and prevent further erosion into the lake.
Well, we plan on removing the stumps.
So you would leave the stump or remove the stump?
We're going to remove the stumps.
Okay. Thank you.
Michael?
These trees definitely are dead, I saw that, but removing these trees, is it mostly about views of the lake now, is it?
What's that now?
Again, removing these trees, is it mostly about improving our views of the lake? Now, is it from your home?
No. No, it's not to improve the view at all. It's just because of we're afraid they're going to fall down.
It's afraid you'll fall down? Okay, thank you, sir.
Denise?
All right, if the trees were to fall down, it would be into the water? Which way would they go? I mean, just to Paula Jean's note, I mean, dead trees, granted, they don't look great, but they are important to the habitats. So if they don't pose a danger and they are helping with the soil, I think it does come into question whether they should be removed or not. So your thoughts on why you'd like to remove the trees?
Well, because we're just afraid they're going to fall down eventually. One or two of them, looking from the water up to the house, the 2 that are on the right side, that happened over the last winter, which really kind of scared me when I saw them in the springtime after the winter. I looked at it, I couldn't believe how much that tree is tilted. I never remember it looking like that before.
Okay.
So I think that's a fairly recent event that happened, and I'm afraid of.
Joe?
He still has a
Sorry.
brand new house, you know, so.
Joe,
I have no
question?
questions.
Josh, comments, please.
My recommendation would, standard order of conditions.
The 2 dead trees along the coastal bank, are they tall enough if they were to fall, would hit the house? Probably not. They're fairly small compared to the others. Now, I've heard 2 people, do you plan to stump every one of them that you take down, or just leave them cut to the ground?
No, we plan to take the stumps out.
Okay.
Not take them out, but grind the stumps.
Grinding them down? I'm hearing some objection to the 2 dead trees along the coastal bank. You want to keep them?
I would like to see them stay, and I bel-
You would like to see them
Yes.
stay? Anybody else? I mean, the others are closer to the other 5 are close to the house, are leaning toward the house. The 2 dead trees are quite small compared to the other.
I would like to see them stay.
Josh, any comments on keeping the 2 dead
Sounds-
trees?
Keeping the dudes. So if you were keeping them, yeah, it's a benefit to wildlife. If the commission was to allow them to be removed, I would suggest cutting them flush to the ground and not grinding the stump.
So there's, cut them, flush to the ground, no grinding, so the root system stays, or don't do anything, leave them stand and fall when they do. Did I hear the 2 options?
Yes.
So what would you like to do?
Paul Jean, because this is...
I would like to see the dead ones stay.
So that the approval for the order of conditions would be the removal of the other 5 that are marked on the plan, leaving the 2 dead trees where they are.
Yeah.
Because they're not subject, they're not, if they fall, they will not damage the house. And the idea is leaving it there for the wildlife to woodpeckers and whatever it is.
Can I ask a question then?
Yes.
If one of these dead trees falls then on somebody or on a boat and destroys the boat, is the Conservation Commission then liable for that kind of risk?
No.
I don't know. Are we?
I haven't seen it.
You've seen it.
No, I haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it.
It's a natural event, and we're just letting a natural event take its course.
Up to the mic.
It's a natural event, and we're just letting nature take its course.
All right. No one online, anybody in the audience comment on it? I have, nope. So
There's a gentleman, did you want to speak?
I asked.
Who wants to?
Okay, come up, Dave. And,
Do I have to swear myself?
nope, have a seat.
Good evening. My name's Dave Spillane. I'm Steve's adjacent neighbor at 31 Agawam. The only tree that affects me and my wife Sue personally is right at Steve's fence. There's a tree, it's 90 feet tall, and it's leaning at least 30 feet.
Yes.
And so that's the only one that my wife and I are concerned about. But Steve, of course, he has a condition that he moves a little slow and it's tough to get around. Every time we get a storm with 25-mile-an-hour winds, I get a half a yard of firewood from his yard. Just limbs just randomly fall, you know, and it's very dangerous. And pine cones all over the place, and it makes it tough for him to walk on that terrain.
So we're talking about removing 5 of the trees and
Yeah.
leaving the 2 dead, smaller dead ones along the coastal bank.
Yeah, I don't think the small ones
No.
really matter.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
I motion to close the hearing.
I have a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, hearing is closed, 600. And the recommendation is standard order condition, removing 5 and keeping the 2 dead trees.
It's
think it should be
actually
six,
6,
6,
Well,
because
Jean
the yew is
identified
grown in together with the other tree.
Right.
So there's actually 8 trees that they're talking about.
8 in total, 2 gonna
well,
live.
where's the
6
yew?
gonna die.
Which tree has the yew in it?
Growing out of the same base as
Yeah.
one of the ones closer
one
to
of
the
the-
road. Oh,
One's up.
Which are
no.
outside of us?
Well, it's right on the, it's not the one out by the street, that's the big oak, it's the pitch pine that's partway down. I don't know how many
Next to the
feet up from the
driveway?
Okay,
water.
so we're identifying the removal of 6 trees, keeping the 2 dead trees as they are.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. So you can remove the 6 trees, and you can remove you can grind them, but leave the 2 dead ones by the river. Okay? Done. Don't do anything until you get the paperwork from Josh. Okay? Thank you. Oh, we did one. Okay. Next, we have extension request, 0 Independence Lane.
Yep, so this is for the marina down there, Point Independence. Oh, come on up. I didn't realize there was someone here for it.
Yes, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing, regardless, the 0 Independence Lane project.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
My name's Paul Sullivan, 9 Bridgeview Lane. I'm a member of the Yacht Club, and if you have any questions about this extension.
Okay. Why do you ask for it?
Well, the permit's going to expire on November 9th, I believe, and in talking with Josh, he thought the best way forward was to ask for a 1-year.
1-year extension. What was the project?
It was the dredging of, what, in between the docks? Is it inside?
It's actually
Or is
both,
it
but we've been excavating on our, I guess, the west side of the bulkhead and stockpiling the sand on the beach. And for the first 2 years, the town took it down the beach and spread it around. And last year, we actually took, this town didn't want to do that anymore, and we took the sand, and including in our order of conditions, we have a containment area on the top of our field up there. And so we did the excavation, we brought up the containment area and dewatered it.
I remember. So it drained. You watered it.
Yeah. So, like it was said, there had been, the material was allowed to be spread on the beach above the mean high water. This last time, the material that came out was filled with a lot of organic material. So it was just like black sand. It really wasn't.
The clean white stuff.
Yeah. And normally what happens is you put that below the mean high water, wave action washes out the organics because they're lighter than sediment, and you're left with clean sand. Your condition allowed for it to be placed above the mean high water. So.
And actually, the town was doing that work.
Right. Yeah, the whole project was pretty interesting from my perspective, but, you know, it was done, so that's what it is. If you were to issue the extension, I would probably take out a few of the conditions for allowing the sand to be redistributed on the beach.
Just a little history. We had a permit before this one, and we would excavate from the bulkhead, and there was a plan for just spreading the sand in that local area. And some of the neighbors didn't like that. They thought, you know, the sand was blowing onto their yard and such. And we had a meeting here, and actually, Sandy, you sort of came up with the idea of having the DPW take the sand and replenish it down the beach. And Josh is correct. The 1 year, some of it came out a little bit dark. I think everyone knows if it lies there long enough, it turns white again, which it has.
Right.
And so, but we didn't want to cause any trouble. We just said, fine, if you don't want to take it, we'll take it and put it in our containment. And we let it dewater up there, and basically, we just move it around afterwards. After it's dried out, we're lucky enough to have a big enough field we can spread it around. And it was beautiful sand last year, and I tried to give it to
the rain
man
events
trust
probably
me.
wash out the organics too, so I'm
Yeah.
sure whatever you have up on the hill is probably appropriate to use for beach nourishment now,
Yeah.
but just taking it from the dredging and nourishing the beach with it isn't the right process.
You needed another step in there.
Yeah.
Would that be replenishing in the section of the beaches that are washed away because of the stormwater drains coming down at the end of those dead-end roads? Because there was a major issue of a major erosion.
Right. I mean, you could take that material now and do it. Redistributing the material with the organics in it isn't appropriate.
No, that's a no-no.
If there's material up on your hill now that,
Well, no, it's spread
well, you've
out.
spread it out and now
You can't
it's,
see it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just- It's dissipated.
So, no.
But this year, you know, if we have it and we bring it up there and dewater it, you know, you guys can have it. It's beautiful sand,
I
you know,
think
really,
there
to
would
tell
be
you
a
the truth.
discussion with Mr. Menard, yeah.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we're looking at a one-year extension for the
I
project.
had one more question. Wasn't there discussion about the clams or something with this being dredged out? Was there,
The only restriction is we can't dredge between January 15th and May 15th, I think, because of the flounder season.
because the flounder
But as far
season?
as shellfish, there's nothing in there that says we can't, because of the shellfish.
Do
we
that,
can't
but
dredge.
did you find any shellfish, and what did you
know,
do with
When we
them?
first did, I can't remember when we first applied for this permit, but I don't know if there was a shellfish study or not, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
But, you know, it's generally the sand, what happens is in Point Independence Beach, that sand comes all the way over from the East River, around through the currents and the winds, and it piles up on our bulkhead. And if we don't do this maintenance on the west side of the bulkhead, it ends up filling up the basin.
Okay.
When we fill up the basin, then we have to dredge inside there, and when you pull that out, it's soaking wet. You know, and you put it in a truck, it goes all over the place. We can put stuff to contain it, and then we bring it up the hill and put it in our containment thing. But we're trying to be a little proactive, that if we can keep maintaining that bulkhead, it will keep a lot of the sand out of the basin, our boat
Okay.
basin, I'll say.
I'm sure the East River would like to have their sand back.
Who wants this?
East River wants their sand back.
I grew up there, I know.
That land from the Wareham Land Trust wants that sand back.
Yeah, they own the little strip of land
Yes, they do.
adjacent to it now, so.
Yeah.
But I think we tried asking them last year, and maybe they just weren't ready for it yet. But, you know, if you all want to keep it in the back of your mind, you know, come November, December, there'll be 100 yards of sand up there.
So your recommendation, one more time?
Yeah, 1-year extension to the order of conditions, and I would say, I would probably cross out condition number 18,
Yeah, I get you.
which I can tell you what it says, or
Yes, what, 18
it
doesn't,
says, "The sand on the beach to be relocated shall be done primarily by the town of Wareham in coordination with the contractor for the applicant. The applicant's contractor shall move the sand from against the Point Independent Yacht Club bulkhead into a pile. The sand will then be redistributed by the Wareham Municipal Maintenance Department to appropriate locations on the beach agreed upon by the Conservation Commission to fill in eroded areas damaged by recent rain events or similar. The sand shall be redistributed in the upland part of the beach, i.e. above mean high water."
you want
So,
that removed?
I would say probably the first half of it, if, you know, the goal is to fill in some of those storm damaged ruts, then maybe you keep the second half, and that would still allow for the work to happen.
See, I don't know the particulars at the end of that street, but I know that there were drains there that were backed up. Like
Right.
the sand from the road had come down and filled them up.
Yes, they
So
did.
were like non-functioning.
They did not
And then
function.
it runs by and it creates a river because
Yep.
of the.
Yeah.
Falls over the stairways and steps and erodes the beach.
One of the ends of the streets, I believe Gary Buckminster went in and created a riprap swale to kind of slow down all the water. I haven't been down there in a while, so I don't know the effectiveness of it,
Yeah,
but.
because all those dead-end streets slope toward the
Right.
beach, and that water comes down the stairs.
And from
Well, maybe they've
history
been
of
cleaned
what
out the storm, maybe they've been cleaned out the storm drains since then, because I think they're after them.
they're working their way down the list. There's a lot of them.
Thousands.
And I think when this project was done, it may have been done with steel piping that could now be corroded and just collapsed. So, you know, even dredging out those storm basins might not do anything for you.
And I know they did a major job in correcting the storm drains off North Water Street, those two above the ground.
Yeah, they just did the outfall of those. but
Yes.
My concern with these ones here is that they're destroyed entirely underground and
Okay.
that they never actually reached
So-
the outlet.
With a modification to number 18 in the existing order of conditions,
Can I ask a question? Didn't you also say that you wanted to add something about washing out the organic matter before it's returned to any beach?
Yeah, I think if you get rid of the first half of 18, that kind of establishes that it can't just be placed on the beach and then redistributed, that it needs to at least dewater somewhere
And
else.
it does say that in there?
Currently, no, but
Can we add
Yeah.
that? Okay.
yeah, you can definitely add it. So do you want a whole revision of 18 to say the material needs to be dewatered before, if it is to be replaced, it needs to be dewatered beforehand?
Okay, so
So
that would be the motion. I have a motion to
Second.
extended 1 year plus the revision of number 18. I had a motion and I heard a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Thank you. Paul, good night.
Have a good one.
All right. We have certification of compliance request. Ooh, one's an old one.
Yeah, so the more recent one was in front of you guys within the last year. It was for a modification to a pier that was already built out of compliance. So the first order of conditions that came before you guys, it was for a pier to be constructed with a float. It was constructed incorrectly. They never came back for a COC, so it kind of just lingered the way it was for a long time. The new property owner came in because the abutting neighbor said, hey, this was never built correctly. It interferes with me getting my boat to my dock, and I would like you to change it, as a nice new neighbor would.
Oh, okay, I know the site.
So they came back with a new notice of intent to reconstruct the pier the way that it should have been originally constructed. And you guys granted approval for that. So this is 2 certificates of compliance to close out the incorrectly done construction and the new construction.
Okay,
So the recommendation would be to issue the certificate of compliance for 7 Bridgeview Lane, 761290, and the same for 7 Bridgeview Lane, 762805.
I have a question.
Yep.
Why do we do a certificate of compliance if it wasn't complied to for the first one?
Because it's still an open order of conditions on the applicant's
on their deed.
deed.
On the deed. So even if it wasn't done properly, we still say it complies?
Well, it complies now.
Oh, it does now?
Right.
Oh, okay.
So the new notice of intent that came before you was to
Bring it into compliance?
bring it into
Okay,
compliance.
now I understand. Thank
Yep.
you.
So we just get rid of the old one on the book because the new one
Right.
is correct.
Right. Yeah.
I motion to issue the certificate of compliance for 7 Bridgeview Lane, 761290, and 7 Bridgeview Lane, 762805.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 600, done. Continued enforcements.
Okay, so Eric Grassi is still working with an engineer to get those site plans drawn up. That should be Pine Lake Drive. Word at some point has corrected that for some reason. I don't know why, but that needs to be amended to Pine Lake. Again, they're working with me now to get an engineer to drop some site plans. And then 200 Great Neck Road, this one's been in front of you for a little while now. I've seen one site plan for it, and they are waiting to come before the commission because they want to add a septic system. You guys gave them a deadline for the notice of intent that's it's expired. So as far as the enforcement order is concerned, you gave them a deadline, they missed the deadline, and they're out of compliance with that. but they want to come in with a notice of intent to rectify this problem and put in a septic system, and they're trying to get test pits dug. So if you guys want to make a determination on if you want to force them in for the separate activities, make them come in for the enforcement, and then make them come in for the septic, or, you know, grant them more time to do the two in one. But I think you should make a determination on that tonight.
Shouldn't they be separated? One is for something they did that was wrong, and we have to deal with
Yep.
that. And the other is a whole new
Yeah.
piece,
Yep.
so
I
it
mean,
seems like one would taint the other, the bad, you know.
definitely up to the commission.
Yeah.
I think that this is a topic that we really need to discuss as a commission and how we're going to handle these things, because I think what you're saying is right. You can't come before us with something new until you've rectified what's been sitting on our books.
That's what I feel, you know. First you clean your room, and then you go out
Correct. I
and
think
go to the
people need to
party.
start addressing the issues instead of just leaving them sit and ignoring us for years. I mean, we've got a list of enforcements, as long as you're armed. If people just ignore us and hope we go away until they need to get something else done.
Are they close to getting the driveway issue?
Well, they have the plans all laid out, so they know exactly what they did and didn't do wrong. It's definitely part of it's
So they've
within
been
your 30
waiting
foot.
for the septic system.
Yeah, I
Then
mean,
I'm- I'm hearing, bring us the plan
Yeah.
with the, for the violation. Do we want to make it the 1st of October, or are they ready to go now for the 18th of September?
I have seen a finalized site plan for the driveway.
Okay,
so
let's just say we want them in here September 18th for the driveway.
I would make a motion.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain. So tell them, pony up and come see us on the 18th. Then deal with the septic system separately, so we don't continue to delay, because they did some major violations in that wetland.
I will send out the email tomorrow.
Okay. Now we have the report of the Conservation Administrator.
Nothing to report.
We have bylaw revisions, administration, workshop permits. We have review and approval of minutes of August 21st, 24. Did I see one?
I didn't send them out.
Okay, I didn't see
Oh.
myself. I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, I'll carry them over to your next
Okay.
hearing.
Then we have, is there any other business that we haven't dealt with within 48 hours? Anybody have anything else?
I have a question.
Yes.
The last meeting you approved minutes, was it's the correct date in the
I think
admin?
I think I may have put August 21st for the last minutes on the last
Right,
one,
so I
which
think-
obviously you couldn't approve because
Right. 'cause
that was the
meeting
date.
we were at. I think you need to
Yeah.
approve the August 7th with the revisions that you put in, because the date on our paper had the wrong date in it.
I think you're right. Let me pull up the agenda from the 7th. Or August, 7th.
The 20,
The August 21st
21st.
agenda,
August 21st agenda, I believe it has.
it has the date of August 21st, 24,
Correct, it should
which we
be-
said we approved.
Which you
Right, so
couldn't
you-
because that was that meeting, so it needs to state August 7th. So you need to
Yep.
approve your August 7th minutes with any changes that you suggested.
I didn't have any notes.
Oh, look.
So what you'll see on your next agenda is approve August 7th, August 21st, and September 4th.
Okay. Good catch.
Sometimes I'm good for
That
something.
darn Josh.
Sometimes I'm
Very-
good for something.
Where's Christina?
The minutia.
Is there anything else?
I have one question, I
Yes.
guess. So I brought up performance standards, before, and I guess my question is for Josh. So when a new person comes on to the commission like me, largely ignorant of what the commission has done over the years, precedents and so on, and I was also thinking, I mean, Denise made a good point that an engineer with a lot of experience in the town would pretty much have an idea of what the commission would approve and what it wouldn't approve, but an engineer coming from a different town or a new engineer, they wouldn't have any idea of what would be approved. So I'm wondering, Josh, if it's worthwhile spending some time developing performance standards for, let's say, a house that is partially or totally within the 30-foot no-activity zone, or outside of that, but within a 100-foot buffer, something that we could base our decisions on, and what the engineers could base their decisions on for planning. Is that worth spending time on?
For sure. 100%.
Is that,
And luckily for you, I've already started.
yeah, he's been working on you've been working on rules and regulations for us.
Yes.
So, but, okay, so some things to keep in mind. The flood zone and the buffer zone under Mass state law don't have performance standards. The state identifies them as a resource area, but, well, even buffer zone is questionable as a resource area in their eyes. But if we're going to generate performance standards, you have to generate, what those new jurisdictional boundaries are, which is fine. But it's just something that I think you should take up in a public hearing, an advertised public hearing to establish rules and regulations. And like I said, I've been working on these, and I'll get them to you sooner than I was planning.
So would it be a good idea to set a date then? Maybe November, December? I don't know how long it would take to develop those things so that
Yeah, why
everyone
don't
knows
I
well in
get
advance.
my draft finalized, and I'll send it to you guys, and, you can make any revisions that you feel are necessary, and then when we have something ironed out, we can set that date.
Okay?
Yeah, I'd like to work backwards, set a date,
No,
and then work to it.
Yeah.
you
Deadlines
will
are good.
remind us if we don't do it quickly. All right, anybody else?
Where did you get that?
Can someone,
ACC
Motion.
website?
Motion to
They
close the
sell
hearing?
I have a motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
close the hearing?
Second,
I have a motion to adjourn. I have a second, and we're adjourning at 8:07.
Okay.
All in favor?
Buffer zone guidebook?
Aye.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good one.
There you go. Aye, positive, we are adjourned. Have a good evening, everybody.